So, without further ado, I'd like to invite the first speaker on stage. They will be speaking about how to make conscious career decisions. Who here would like to know what they're doing and why they're doing it next? Right? That sense of being very clear and being very structured so that you can almost formulate the next bit of your life and your experience that you would like to have. And that's something that she's very good at doing. She's been able to do that for over 25 years for the corporate market, where she's helped international recruitment companies find their perfect candidates. She has both sides of the knowledge, from the recruitment perspective as well as the person that's actually applying for that role and wants that position in the first place. She's also been a career coach for the last 3.5 years. She was actually awarded the GTEx Member of the Year this Christmas ultimately, so give her a round of applause for that. And one thing that she really hones in on is taking someone from, I can't do this, to, yeah, I got this. And that's what she wants you to experience tonight. So really immerse yourself in the experience that you're going to have here tonight, because I know she's going to give you loads of awesome nuggets. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Jelena. I'm sorry, your surname's hard, but I know. Right. Did I get that right?
It's all good, all good.
And now we're just going to do the mic switch.
Yeah, let's try that.
Yeah.
Is it, or is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I want it to look tidier.
I don't mind if it hangs from. Okay, good. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming tonight. And I'm very happy to be here and now. Here and now. So I wanted to kick off the evening by doing a small mindfulness exercise. Is there anyone in the room who doesn't feel like closing their eyes? Everyone's good with that?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So what I'd like you to do is just sit back and gently close your eyes. Make yourself comfortable and take a couple of deep cleansing breaths. And take yourself back to this morning when you woke up. How did you wake up? Was it an alarm clock, or you woke up naturally? How did you feel? How did your day start? And then moving on, did you have your tea, coffee, breakfast? Did you set off for work? Or perhaps study? Or maybe you went out and met a friend? Did you get on the train or the bus? Perhaps you cycled or you drove. And how was that? And just think back gently to the activities that filled your day. Were there any memorable events? Anything that you would like to let go of that now. And moving on into the afternoon, you probably had your lunch. And think back to any activity that you did in the afternoon. And then getting ready to come here to this event. Again, you got on a train, or maybe you walked, cycled. And you see yourself entering the hotel, going through the registration, mingling with some new people, or maybe some people you've met before. And then you enter this room and take your seat. And you find yourself here. And now. So now you can gently open your eyes and find yourself here and now in this room. So the reason why I did this guided meditation is because part of my presentation is going to be around this word conscious, which I find is incredibly important. And my aim is to guide you to actually connect or reconnect with some parts of you that you don't always connect with. So very briefly about me. As you have heard, I have a long history in international recruitment. I've seen many CVs, interviewed many people, whether I was hiring them or for my clients. I loved connecting people, always. And that's why being in recruitment actually had really deep meaning for me, because it was about connecting two entities, well, a candidate or a job applicant and the company, for a win-win situation. So in that sense, I find that I was quite lucky because I found early on something that I really enjoyed and something that really had meaning for me, and something in which I could actually self-actualize and create the connections and the results I wanted. I'm also a qualified coach. I've done a lot of self-development work. I've worked with some inspirational people or followed them, such as Thich Nhat Hanh or John DeMartini, Deepak Chopra. So I draw on a lot of that experience, both in recruitment and business and in personal development. And I decided to bring them together and sort of merge them and offer my clients career coaching. The career coaching I offer is not about putting plasters on cracks. It's about deeper exploration, about finding who you really are and what your values, your skills, your strengths are, and then exploring further, identifying what are the best options for you. Maybe you want to transition into self-employment and launch your business or freelance. Maybe you're looking for a new career, a completely new industry. All sorts of scenarios are possible. And in the final phase, I obviously help my clients package that. So what I like to say, first we unwrap your gifts, and then at the end, we package them in the way that is going to be good for recruiters, or maybe for someone that you're pitching your business to. My clients have found roles in different companies and international organizations, including Tottenham Hotspur. Now that one is, blokes always notice this, so I have to say that is probably more interesting than the others. But also some of them have transitioned into self-employment, they have gone into property development or started their own small business. So I like to start always with this: know thyself. So over the centuries, wise people, sages, poets, philosophers have all emphasized how it's important to know yourself, to build that awareness. Because if you don't have that awareness about you, who you really are, what you stand for, what's important to you, what your strengths and skills are, and how you present yourself to the world, then how can you change anything? If you don't have that awareness, it's impossible really to change. And coaching is about effecting change. So starting with values, I like to call them non-negotiables. What does that mean? That means these things are so important to us that sometimes we will protect them even with our life. Okay, so in the coaching process, I work with my clients to help them identify their core values. And lots of us share some common values, probably such as I want to be healthy or have a good family, I like honesty or transparency or whatever. But obviously through deeper work, we get out some other values that are really specific to that person. Why is that important? It is very important because they translate then in work-related or career-related values. Okay, So I have clients who, for example, say, oh, I really want to have a better work-life balance. But on the other hand, they may not be willing to compromise on something else, such as, for example, financial rewards. And sometimes these two do not go together. I'm not saying ever, but often. And then we go deeper and actually see what is really more important. And whose values are you honoring? Is it your own? Is it something that you adopted from your peers, social pressure, parents, relatives, teachers? All of these people influencers, these days even politicians and celebrities. So how do you really know what your core values are, your true values? So I'd like to invite you to think, and if you have still pen and paper, maybe write down. Think about the situation, recent or not so recent, when someone or something upset you, like really, really upset you. So you were let down or disappointed or angry, like extremely. You felt your blood boil. Try and think of that situation. A situation where you felt really strong feelings. There was an event or a person. How's that going? Anyone wants to comment with a few words? What were the feelings? Okay. Disappointment. Anything else? Oh, interesting. Out of control. Great. Anyone else? Frustrated. So the idea here is, when you list all these different feelings and thoughts that you had about that person or event or situation, most likely you will find your core values at the opposite end of the spectrum. So if someone let you down by being dishonest or lying, obviously transparency, honesty, maybe loyalty as a friend is one of your core values. I'm giving you very simple, rather simplified examples, but it can actually go a lot deeper. This question I added actually just the other day. What do you want to be known for? This is a fabulous way to discover your core values. I don't know if you see on TV or films or whatever, funerals, right? Or maybe sometimes in real life we have to go to a funeral. And then a few words are being said about the deceased. I personally haven't heard anyone say, oh yeah, John was a great guy, he owned a Lamborghini and 5 houses, and that's how we remember him. I don't know if you heard anything like that, or maybe she was fantastic, she always had, I don't know, the best haircut and most interesting shoes and whatever. Not really, you know, no one remembers that ultimately. So what do you want to be known for? Again, pop down on paper a few words that come to your mind. Don't overthink it. Anything that comes to your mind first, write it down. Feel free.
Expert, maybe.
Sorry?
Expert.
An expert. Great.
What I'm doing.
Fantastic. Anyone else? Yes? Being non-judgmental. Okay. Kind, non-judgmental. Helpful.
Making a contribution.
Fantastic. Absolutely. People want to be remembered by helping their friends, families, maybe businesses, maybe impacting communities, maybe effecting change on a bigger level. It doesn't matter how small or how big it is. The most important thing is that it's meaningful to you. Okay? It's got to be super meaningful to you. So for the sake of time, I need to move on, but feel free to write down a couple more words, adjectives, descriptions. What do you want to be known for? This is a slide that I put together recently because I really want to get as many people as possible to realize that if they compromise their core values, lots of things can happen, and pretty much none of them are nice. And I'm speaking from personal experience, trust me. So whether this is in relation to personal life or business or career, if there are people or situations or environments that make you compromise your core values, get out. If you don't, your relationships may break down, your health may break down. You actually may lose the job that actually you're staying in and you're hating it, and the boss is a maniac or whatever. It's all possible. I've heard about lots of these situations. So I'm here to help my clients decipher this and find ways to move on. Not into nothingness, because it can seem really daunting and it's scary, but we build a plan together. Next thing that I would like you to think about if you're considering any career change, and even if you're not, to identify your core skills and strengths and also passions. I like to ask my clients, and some recruiters will ask you that as well, tell me about an activity in which you immerse yourself so fully that you lose track of time. You just forget everything. What is that? Fishing, chess, reading, boxing, I don't know, anything. Could be actually the work that you're doing right now in your job or career or work, or it may not be. But wherever it is and whatever it is, once you identify it, don't let go of that. Cultivate it, nurture that. Because that's a very, very important part of you. Because this sentence basically means you're in flow. And when we're in flow, we create. And we're able to make conscious decisions that are going to serve us. These are also some of the questions that I go through with my clients, just to get really out what makes their heart sing. What are the passions, even the hobbies. Sometimes they can just continue to do that and make sure that their life is full. Sometimes they may bring this into their work, or even completely transition into that and make that their work. I've seen all scenarios. It depends. Of course, it depends on the person, and it depends on what your passion is. I'll just very quickly speak about a client who, tying back with core values, who was a successful IT project manager for 15 years. But he was actually dying inside. He really hated his job. The only bit of the work that he liked was the bit where he communicated with people, because he was a business developer. So he was selling software solutions. And we went into analyzing lots of things from different angles. And clearly, he turned up to be a people person. He's not a task-focused person. And the only part of the work that he was doing was to do with people. And then we went through a lot of things that he's passionate about, literally from cooking and wine and chocolate and hospitality. We covered a whole range, and it's very exciting, and it's actually lovely to do this kind of brainstorming. And we realized that he wants something really tangible. He wants to see tangible results of his work. He doesn't want something very abstract that is going to impact someone somewhere in God knows how many years. So eventually he decided to transition into property development, and that's what he's doing now. And it was a very brave decision. It wasn't easy because he has a young family. So again, in this kind of space or gap, that's also where I support my clients. I don't say just, oh yeah, just jump off and somehow we'll figure it out. No, we actually make a plan which includes how many months or weeks or whatever you can sustain yourself until you start generating income from whatever it is that you're doing. as I mentioned here, are you a people person or a task-oriented person? Are you an introvert or an extrovert? That is really important, actually, in the choice of work that you do. That needs to align with what you're doing. Otherwise, you may feel like fish out of the water. Are you more on the creative side, maybe artistic, or you're more into analytical thinking, problem solving? I'm not saying that one excludes the other, but it is helpful to know which of these are your strengths. So all of these were internal factors. This was basically turning the torch on the inside, right? Looking at who you are and what it is that drives you, what's important to you, what skills do you have. However, we need to consider external factors as well. This is mostly geared towards people who are changing careers and who are looking at employment. But actually, if you're looking at an industry and just checking how this industry is doing, and am I interested in it, it could equally be applied to anyone transitioning into self-employment. I usually go through company values and culture and role fit as well with my clients, which means what you have, like your skills, experience, and qualifications, does that actually match the requirements of the role that you're pursuing? But also vice versa. The companies may be offering fantastic training, work-life balance, whatever, but maybe not such a great pay, or maybe the pay is great, but you have no work-life balance and career progression is somewhat limited. These are all the things we look at, and we check that against your core values in terms of your job or career. How future-proof is this industry if you're moving into something new? Obviously, technology is disrupting everything, and that's something you also want to consider. Is this a stopover or a destination? Sometimes with my clients, I see, and we actually both agree, that they have to go from A to C and then to B, rather than from A to B, because the journey is such that they have to bridge some of the gaps. Maybe they need to get some more experience or an extra qualification, or for whatever reason. So it's not always simple, but it's possible. Now, decision making, which is the main part of the presentation that I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to ask you if you know the word, the verb actually, to decide. What does it mean and where does it come from? I really like this explanation, and it's true actually, it's not made up. It comes from a Latin word which means to kill or cut off. And it has the same root as homicide, herbicide, and any other side. Okay? So that bit is what scares us. Why? Because if we have to make a decision, that basically means we're killing off one choice. And then we can keep thinking, oh, well, what about this other choice? And that's where FOMO can creep in, which is fear of missing out. That's where procrastination thrives. And all these different things that sabotage us. Why? Because we're scared, and it's natural, it's normal. However, if you take it in a light-hearted way and you play, there will always be leeway, a correction course. Intentions. The first thing is decide what it is that you want. What is your intention? Where do you want to go? And then you can explore how you're going to get there. Information gathering. Now, when we're talking about careers and companies and any kind of employment, information gathering is not just looking at one job online, okay, and looking at the company website. No, 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 no. That's not going to get you very far, more often than not. Information gathering is also about talking to people, about finding what the values, the core values of that company are, and are they actually being lived in that company? What are the behaviors in that environment that are valued? What is the mission of that company? is that in alignment with your life purpose and what you want to do? So it is about researching online, but it's also about LinkedIn. It's also about talking to people face to face over coffee or on the phone. And how do you find these people? You look for them. You tell everyone, oh, this is the type of work or job that I'm now researching. Can you help me? Do you know someone who can help me? And information will start coming to you. And then you ask them very specific questions. You find the person who's doing the role that you want to have. And you ask them, how did you get there? What are the top 3 qualities of the employee of XYZ company? And so forth. I can talk about this for a long time, but we need to move on. Information analysis and reshuffling. This is all about actually comparing and doing this fit. In other words, what the company is offering or the industry or the role, does that fit in with your requirements and with your core values? And the other way around, what you can offer, is that matching what you're applying for or what you're pursuing? This is also applicable to businesses if you're running a business. And it also comes down, one important point which I didn't mention, is identifying your weaknesses or areas for development. Because if you're not aware of those blind spots, then they will catch up with you. But if you build some awareness, then you can work on them and bridge the gap. This is one of the reasons why I did the guided meditation at the beginning. Because when people make decisions, they're mostly guided by the rational mind. And I actually want to open your minds to the possibility of leaving your mind. I'm not saying becoming insane, but that's a possibility as well. Leaving your mind and going back to your senses and also to your heart, to your intuitive heart. So in meditation, in moments of stillness, before bedtime or before you sleep, or in any other way that is suitable for you, you can ask for guidance. You can just make yourself open to receive guidance. You can even set the intention before you sleep. And you will start getting clues. And you will also start getting in touch with your heart and with your intuition. Because you know what? All of us actually know. We have all the answers, but they're just masked by the layers of social conditioning, of different influences, of our own internalized fears and saboteur voices, critical voices that we hear. And all of that, layer upon layer, masks our access to our inner voice, our inner knowledge or intuition. Any insights and any information and sort of rational analysis that you had, you combine all of that. Inspiration. You choose who you're going to listen to. Do you listen to the news 24/7 about all the bombs and gangs and knives and wars and rapes and all of that? Or you can choose to listen to something else. There are lots of people who are doing phenomenal inspirational work, and you can listen to them at least a little bit, drop by drop, every day. And then you put all of this together before you make a decision. These little squares are supposed to be smileys, but never mind, or some kind of emoticon. So just to recap, clear vision plus inspired action results. Inspired action is really important. As you can see, it's in green there. Because you can analyze to the point of, what's it called, analysis paralysis. You can meditate until the cows come home, but if you don't take action, nothing's going to happen, right? Nothing. So action is extremely important. And again, the vision, if you don't know where you're at right now, if you don't do that exploratory work, then how will you know where you're going? Equally, if you don't have a clear vision of where you want to get to, then you're not going to get there. I also like to emphasize the point of like one step every day. Start small, but be consistent. and take action, because I really see action as the mother of success. If you don't take action, nothing is going to happen. But keep the consistency. Very quickly, in the final summary and recap, core values influence your work values, your interests and passions, skills and competencies. All of that goes into your goals. And then vision. Vision is this bigger thing. It's not just for tomorrow or for 2 years or 5 years. This one includes your purpose as well. How do you show up in the world? What do you want to be known for? And then flow, which I mentioned. The state of flow where you create. You don't think at all anymore about who says what, who thinks what about you. You just go and do your thing. And that does lead to career fulfillment, actually, and any kind of fulfillment if you apply this, not just in your careers. To recap, know yourself. Never compromise your core values. First of all, find them if you're not sure, and then just be aware. And you know what? Think about that person, what you want to be remembered for. And ask yourself, am I that person now? Am I actually living these values right now? Am I being non-judgmental and kind and loving? Am I being a business expert? Am I being a whatever, influencer? And if there is a gap, if there is a discrepancy, then that needs attention. And that's the point where you start taking these small steps, because nothing happens overnight. Build on your natural strengths that are underpinned by your interests and passions. You want to leverage your strengths. You want to be doing things, work, job, career, call it whatever, that aligns with stuff that you're really good at, so that you can excel. And that will then, in turn, boost your confidence, and then you get better and better at it. Be open and curious, as Caroline said. Keep an open mind. And grow and learn from every failure and every success equally. Love what you do, and your life will love you back. I can guarantee you that. Because what we do in our work, call it a job, a career, a business, is ever so important. It's a huge part of us. Even time-wise, we spend 90,000 hours on average working in our lives, 90,000 hours. Yeah? So you choose how you want to spend these hours. Do you want to be happy, fulfilled, excited? Experience successes and failures, but really live it? Or you want to be miserable, maybe, or unfulfilled, or keep yourself in a state of fear? But I know you're not, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So, finally, mindset, help others. Always, always, always pay it forward. I find that it's absolutely one of the key things in a winning mindset, not just for your career, but for your life. Help others always, and you will receive whatever you need. It will come your way. Finally, someone said, yes, that you want to see what's on offer. I didn't plan to talk much about that, but I did put on chairs around this, and this is a leaflet which when you open, you will find a little bit about me, but also you can fill in your details here, and then you can tear this, and oops, and then drop it on the floor. And yeah, pass these details to me during this evening, and then I will get in touch, and then we can discuss whatever you want to discuss in relation to your career, your work, and how I can help you, either through individual coaching or group coaching, and so forth. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so
so much, Jelena. One more hand for Jelena, please. Thank you. Well done.